Thanks to your ongoing support for my channel, this video was made possible thanks to the officially licensed app Bleach Immortal Soul. It is incredible to be supported by a game that I play during my free time, and feel proud to share with all of you. Bleach Immortal Soul is an all-new officially licensed mobile game, available for iPhone and Android users. It features all of the voice actors that you know and love from the original anime. Yes, that's Masakazu Morita as Ichigo, Fumiko Orikasa as Rukia, and featuring many more. What I love about this game is that it covers all of the early Bleach arcs. You can re-experience the Bleach story with exciting gameplay that offers a great blend of action and storytelling. If you're worried about only playing as Ichigo, then fear not, as you can unlock and level up all of your favorite characters from Bleach. If you just want to re-experience the Bleach story, then you can set an auto battle option along with an auto walk option, which lets you take a backseat and enjoy the story. But if you really want to get involved in the action, then there is QTE based gameplay. This is where you can really apply your skills and prove that you are the #1 Bleach fan. You can also customize your teams for all of you who want to play with all of your favorite Bleach waifus, Yoriichi, Rukia, and Rangiku cough cough. There are various modes that you can choose from, including story mode, PvP, battle arena, and more. Click the link in the description to support my channel and download Bleach Immortal Soul to get a special free kickoff prize when you redeem the code shown on screen. You get 5k gold, 2 gacha tokens, and 50 soul jades. If you love Bleach and want to continue supporting it, then check out Bleach Immortal Soul. How would you feel upon seeing an inverted version of yourself? A terrifying, threatening maniac who sees your every failure and ridicules you for it. This is what Ichigo has to endure during the Arrancar arc via his inner hollow. I was surprised that Hollow Ichigo won the recent poll I posted under the community tab of the channel. It was literally a landslide victory in favour of a video dedicated to him. Some may say that he instinctively won. Well, here it is, my analysis on Hollow Ichigo. Hopefully I can explain why he is still remembered fondly amongst the Bleach fandom, and convey his appeal as a standalone character. Before the video begins, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications to not miss any of my future uploads. Hollow Ichigo is introduced in chapter 110 of the manga and in episode 39 of the anime. He resides within Ichigo's inner world. We see him for the first time when he wields Ichigo's Zanbakuto and challenges Ichigo to decide if he is worthy enough to continue wielding his blade. His enemy is himself. Physically he is identical to Ichigo, however his colours are inverted. Most notably the whites of his eyes are black, along with him wearing a white Shinigami Shihakusho. The way that Hollow Ichigo is written in his early appearances was incredibly mysterious, as we didn't know much about his origin, or why on earth an inverted version of Ichigo existed in the first place. After Ichigo is beaten by Kenpachi and is left bloodied on the ground, Zangetsu appears and questions if he wants to fight. When Ichigo responds that he is determined to win, he is taken into his inner world. He meets Hollow Ichigo here, who wields and uses his Zanbakuto like it is second nature to him. We quickly learn that this hollow version of himself is very sadistic and condescending. He humiliates Ichigo as he deems him to be an unworthy version of himself. He is a part of him, so whatever he feels and experiences, his hollow side will either benefit or be negatively impacted by it. He literally represents Ichigo's innate battle instinct. This is seen firsthand whenever the inner hollow takes over when Ichigo is struggling in battle. When we do see Ichigo overwhelmed and donning a hollow mask, this alter ego takes over and battles with excessive aggression, no care for self-injury, and generally in a way that overwhelms the adversary. We see this occur during his battle against Byakuya, Grimmjow, and even Ulquiorra. Ichigo meets and battles his inner hollow 3 times overall in the series. Each encounter serves to explain a little more about his hidden potential and the truth behind his powers. We don't know much about the origin of Hollow Ichigo until the midway point of the 1000-year Blood War arc, and it is here that we learn just how well Kubo foreshadowed Ichigo's powers, considering his inner hollow appears during chapter 110, and the truth behind him is revealed in chapter 540. The anticipation and payoff was rewarding to say the least. What do we learn about Hollow Ichigo in the 1000-year Blood War arc? Let's understand the significance of his backstory so that we can appreciate his earlier actions towards Ichigo in the series, and realize how Kubo wrote Hollow Ichigo purposefully to make us misunderstand him. Ichigo's inner hollow originated from an experimental hollow that Aizen had created. He called it White. This hollow acted instinctively and attacked Masaki as she was the weakest on the battlefield when he first emerged. Isshin notes that while he was battling White, that it felt as though he was battling a Shinigami instead of a hollow, which is in line with Aizen's intentions of creating a hollow based on a Shinigami soul. Isshin was tasked by the Soul Society to investigate White. He fought against this hollow with the help of Masaki. However, she was bitten by White White before she was able to destroy its head. After White had bitten Masaki, she became his target for holification. Once it had entered her soul, she began to holify, which placed her at an extreme risk of dying. But thanks to a Gigai created by Urahara, an Ishin who linked his soul to Masaki and the Hollow White, her holification was stopped and henceforth suppressed. White would later be passed on to Ichigo and would fuse with his inherited Shinigami powers, thus becoming his true Zanpakuto. After Ichigo learns about how his parents met and the truth regarding the circumstances behind his mother's death, he returns to Uetsu Nemaya's palace so that he can reforge his Zanpakuto, which was destroyed earlier in the arc. Ichigo was unable to obtain an Asuchi before, but this time all of them kneel before him, willing to accept him as their wielder. The moment that Ichigo touches his chosen Asuchi, it changes color to white, along with its face changing to look like a hollow mask. Nemaya explains to him the reason behind why his Asuchi turned white the moment he touched it. He also asks Ichigo if it is strange that his Asuchi resembles the hollow within him. He reveals that Ichigo's true Zanpakuto spirit is his inner hollow. Old Man Zangetsu was an imposter this whole time. The hollow created by Aizen called White attacked Ichigo's mother and was then transferred to Ichigo and fused with his inner Shinigami powers, which he had inherited from his father. When this occurred, his inner hollow rightfully became his true Zanpakuto spirit. Old Man Zangetsu reveals the true nature of Hollow Ichigo to him, explaining why he behaved in the way that he did. He reveals he himself was the source of Ichigo's quincy powers, hence why he resembles Yuach from 1000 years ago. This also explains why he called upon the help of Hollow Ichigo every time Ichigo had to be taught how to handle his Zanpakuto, also revealing why his inner hollow had taken over his being whenever his life was at the brink of danger. When he couldn't handle his Zanpakuto or when he was about to die, Hollow Ichigo came to his aid. Ichigo's life was saved repeatedly by his inner hollow. In chapter 542, Ichigo comes to accept young Yuach and his inner hollow, which then activates his true Zanpakuto. We understand that Hollow Ichigo helped to teach him about how to utilize his Zanpakuto, while also interrupting his battles and even causing him to transform while he was pretty much dead. I want to go over the 3 battles that Ichigo has with his inner hollow, also explaining the reasoning behind the Vasto Lorde transformation and the consequences of it. Hollow Ichigo is born when Ichigo activates his own Shinigami powers, when he trains with Kisuke Urahara right at the start of the series in chapter 64. This forced awakening of Ichigo's powers brought forth his Shinigami and hollow powers. This is why he emerged from the smoke with a familiar black Shinigami Shihakusho, but with a hollow mask on his face which he quickly removes. This hollow mask kept reappearing on his body whenever he was fatally wounded during the Soul Society arc, despite him repeatedly discarding it. Take Ichigo's battle with Renji. When he was about to be attacked by Zabimaru on the chest, the attack was stopped from hurting Ichigo. We later learn when he is being healed by Hanataro in chapter 100 that a hollow mask is what prevented him from being pierced by Renji's Zanpakuto. This is consistent with what young Yuach had stated in the 1000-year Blood War arc. His inner hollow was looking out for him from the start. Hollow Ichigo was able to appear after Ishin's Shinigami powers had been completely restored, thus breaking the bond between Ishin and Ichigo, as the Hollow White was no longer being suppressed by Ishin's powers. He manifests during his battle against Byakuya for the first time. He almost kills Byakuya, that is until Ichigo regains control. Ichigo meets his inner hollow for the first time when he enters his inner world during his battle with Kenpachi in chapter 110. Ichigo must prove if he is worthy of wielding Zangetsu once more. He battles Hollow Ichigo, who wields Zangetsu, while Ichigo is using a nameless Zanpakuto, which he likens to a stick when used to fight against his Zanpakuto Zangetsu. From this first encounter, we see a very menacing, psychotic version of Ichigo, who attacks him without holding back while referring to him as his partner. Through the way that Hollow Ichigo is effectively using his Zanpakuto, he realizes just how little of its power he was using. I love Hollow Ichigo's sadistic nature. He smirks while casually spinning Zangetsu around from its cloth. While it builds up momentum, he warns Ichigo that he is going to kill him, while letting go of Zangetsu so it fires off in Ichigo's direction. The appeal of this alternative version of Ichigo is the way that he creatively uses the blade, while appearing to have so much fun while doing so. Ichigo even says these are methods of using Zangetsu he would not have come up with himself. The purpose of this first battle is for Hollow Ichigo to teach him that you cannot grow a bond with the Zanpakuto just by knowing its name. He scolds him for not trying to get to know Zangetsu and understanding how it feels. He literally tells Ichigo in chapter 111 that Zangetsu is capable of so much and would only grow stronger if only he would open up his heart to him a little. We see Hollow Ichigo do a sigh of relief once Ichigo leaves, as he speaks with young Yuach, who thanks him for his help. His inner hollow refers to him as the king of this world. He states that for their survival they need him to win and to grow stronger. For this purpose he will help in any way that he can. Kubo does throw us off once more, as before Hollow Ichigo leaves, he tells young Yuach to raise Ichigo well, as eventually his powers will be his, making us once more question just how much we can trust him, as it appears that his inner hollow only cares for its own survival, which is reliant upon Ichigo's survival. Their second battle during the Iranka arc is the most significant, as Hollow Ichigo has grown tired of him. His inner hollow has resolved to take over his body, as Ichigo was too soft with his opponents. As a result, he put his life in danger and consequently endangered the existence of his inner hollow and young Yuwatch. He can hear his inner hollow calling out to him. The influence from his hollow side grows more and more. Ichigo rejects help from his hollow side because he is afraid of it and doesn't accept it as a part of himself. He enlists the help of the Vizards to control his inner hollow once it becomes too much for him to handle. When he is battling with Hyori, he is surprised at how she can keep control while her hollow mask is equipped. He thinks that by observing her he may be able to figure out how she is doing it, but he aims to do so by refusing to open up his soul to his inner hollow, which coincidentally activates as Hyori was one-siding Ichigo, that is until his hollow takes over. This moment shows us how reluctant he is to accept this side of himself. It is like he is ashamed as well as being afraid of it. While he trains with the Vizards, he enters his inner world and battles Hollow Ichigo once more. When they meet, his inner hollow greets him as the king. In chapter 218, an incredible foreshadowing occurs. When Ichigo asks his inner hollow where Zangetsu is, Hollow Ichigo then refers to himself as Zangetsu before charging at him, but Ichigo continues to ask him what he has done with Zangetsu. In retrospect, we know that Ichigo is referring to young Yuwatch, and his true Zanpakuto spirit called Zangetsu is indeed Hollow Ichigo. He kept telling Ichigo that he is Zangetsu, but he wouldn't listen to him. He continues to tell Ichigo that he used to be a part of Old Man Zangetsu, aka young Yuwatch before, hence why we see him fade into his cloak after Ichigo's first battle with his inner hollow. However, with time his inner hollow's powers had increased, especially after Isshin's powers had returned to him, as he was no longer holding the hollow's influence back, which eventually grew to the point of becoming the dominant spirit within Ichigo, causing young Yuwatch to become a part of his inner hollow instead. In chapter 219, we see Hollow Ichigo activate his Bankai for the first time, as he continues to smile in the face of Ichigo, who is understandably frustrated. He questions when his inner hollow learnt Bankai, to which he replies the same time that he did. Ichigo uses Getsuga Tensho, but Hollow Ichigo shows him how to unleash the attack, which deals a lot of damage to Ichigo. He refers to him as a poor imitator of his master, as the Black Getsuga Tensho is Hollow Ichigo's technique. He proceeds to tell him to give up as he takes his Zanpakuto away from him, declaring that he is not good enough at Bankai, so unworthy of wielding Zangetsu. Most people fondly remember Hollow Ichigo's speech about the king and the horse. Through his words, he conveys such a powerful message to Ichigo here. In chapter 220, he asks what is the difference between a king and its horse. When two beings are exactly the same, how do they decide which of them will be the king and lead them into battle, and which will, like a horse, lend its strength to the other? He then poses the question, what allows one to dominate the other? Ichigo, speechless, listens to the answer, which is revealed to be killer instinct. Although Ichigo yells this out maniacally, he shouts out what it takes to be the king, describing an insatiable hunger for battle, for power, the will to mercilessly crush any enemy. He describes tearing and cutting his enemies apart, calling this a ravenous bloodlust. With passion, he tells Ichigo that somewhere deep within his primal unconsciousness, he should have a want to kill. As a ruthless, unforgiving mentor, he yells at him exactly what he is lacking, telling him he fights with his head instead of his instinct, stating that he tries to reason with his enemies, but he cannot do that with the challenges presented to him by Grimmjow, Ulquiorra, and Aizen. He metaphorically compares this method to Ichigo trying to defeat him with a sheath blade, and for that reason it is impossible for Ichigo to defeat his inner hollow with the way that he is now. He tells him that he will never submit to him as a horse, serving a king that is weaker than him, as Ichigo will lead them both to their death. He tells Ichigo if he is weaker than him, he will crush him and become the king himself. Hollow Ichigo appears to be selfish and inconsiderate, but you need to understand that his approach has always led Ichigo to the answers that he needs to help him throughout his many struggles within the series. He helps him to realize his limitations and faults, and allows for him to grow and overcome his limits. Once Ichigo realizes, thanks to an inner manifestation of Kenpachi, that he instinctively seeks battles to gain power, he then faces off against the surprised Hollow Ichigo once more. He pierces through his inner hollow, who admits he seemed to have some killer instinct within him after all. Notably, before he leaves, he tells Ichigo that the position of the king and the horse can be easily switched, and the moment that he senses any weakness within Ichigo, he will not hesitate to throw him off and crush him. Ichigo receives one final warning. He warns him not to get himself killed if he desires to control his hollow powers. This is clearly a foreshadowing which sets up Ichigo's Vasto lorde transformation, which is a consequence of him becoming close to being killed, or he was killed, considering he had a hole clean through his chest after Ulquiorra was done with him. From what we learn about Old Man Zangetsu, or in other words young Yuwatch, who resides within Ichigo, is that he represents Ichigo's quincy powers, and throughout Bleach he desired to suppress Ichigo's Shinigami powers so that he could protect him from battling strong opponents. He intended for Ichigo to give up his pursuit for power and instead lead a normal life and not to put his life at risk through hurting himself through battle. What happens during the Arrancar arc seems to be a tug of war of sorts between Hollow Ichigo and Old Man Zangetsu, but who actually had Ichigo's best interests in mind? There is no doubt that both of them care for him, albeit Hollow Ichigo appears to due to selfishness, as he cares for his own personal survival more. But if Ichigo didn't grow stronger, then he wouldn't have been able to save Orihime, defeat Grimmjow, Ulquiorra, and ultimately even defeat Aizen. His inner hollow knows what Ichigo is capable of, but Old Man Zangetsu is suppressing his power, which is putting him at a risk of dying. His hollow side cannot stand to let this happen, so he forces his way into control through fear and abrupt interruptions while he is battling. This is the case until the Vizards help to control his hollow side so that he can utilize its powers without it taking control. Ichigo's third encounter with his inner hollow occurs when Ichigo enters his inner world to learn the final Getsuga Tensho. He meets Tensou Zangetsu, who draws out of Ichigo what is making him feel despair. This despair that Ichigo feels is a result of the traumatic Vasto Lorde transformation, which occurred during his final battle with Ulquiorra. It resulted in him becoming this uncontrollable monster which battled out of pure instinct. It is his inner hollow fully manifested into reality. This transformation is the result of Hollow Ichigo swapping positions and becoming the figurative king. Vasto Lorde Ichigo resembles the Hollow White which attacked Ichigo's mother. Both of these forms fought instinctively out of survival. We all have this primal desire for survival. Hollow Ichigo embodies this aspect purely. This is why he comes across as a psychotic maniac who only seems to enjoy inflicting pain onto others. He is in fact fighting for survival. Everyone else is secondary or not even in the realm of his consideration. When he takes over Ichigo's body, he defeats Ulquiorra in order to survive, as Ulquiorra caused Ichigo to almost kick the bucket. Ichigo was warned that this would happen. When he faces off against Yami and Ulquiorra when they first appear, his inner hollow tries to take over, as it knows Ichigo is outmatched. Ulquiorra comments on the fluctuation of Ichigo's spiritual pressure, which is being caused by the interference by his inner hollow. The scale of fluctuation is so large that he even admits that at its highest point, his inner hollow is even more powerful than he is. This is well before his Vasto Lorde transformation, which confirmed this early inner monologue by Ulquiorra to be true. Ichigo's first battle with the Espada makes him come to terms with how weak he really is. He promises Orihime that he will protect her next time, and this next time was indeed against Ulquiorra. I mentioned this next foreshadowing earlier. In his second encounter with Hollow Ichigo, he is warned that if he wants to control his inner hollow, then he mustn't die. Ichigo is allowed to be the king, but if he falters through being weak and getting killed, then his inner hollow would swap positions and take over as the king. Ichigo was being brutally one-sided by Ulquiorra after he activated his second release. It is his promise he made to Orihime after hearing her pleas for help, which allows his inner hollow to take over and give him the power he needs to protect her. This is exactly what Hollow Ichigo warned would happen. His powers went out of control due to Ichigo almost dying. Ichigo during his third encounter with Hollow Ichigo is feeling despair because he brutally defeated Ulquiorra and hurt Uryu while he was transformed into this monster. He is afraid and still rejecting his inner hollow at this point. Despite Ichigo thinking he got rid of Hollow Ichigo earlier in their second encounter, he is surprised to see him again when Tensou Zangetsu pulls his inner hollow out of him. Hollow Ichigo appears differently here as he is wearing a mask that resembles Ichigo's Vasto Lorde form. Tensou Zangetsu explains that this is the form that Ichigo is afraid of. Because of his fear, he can no longer holofy. The purpose of his third encounter is for him to understand that his inner hollow is a part of his Shinigami powers. It is against his desire to grow stronger if he rejects his inner hollow. He realizes that his inner hollow along with Tensou Zangetsu desired to protect him this whole time. Ichigo is their entire world and their existence. Their survival is dependent on his survival. Hollow Ichigo took control whenever the threat was too much for Ichigo to handle, ensuring both of their survival. They ultimately protected and gave strength to Ichigo so that he could fulfill his desire to protect others. In her book Creating Character Arcs by K.M. Weiland, she writes about 3 character arcs. The first is a positive change arc, which we can see through Grimmjow, Ulquiorra, and Ichigo, for example. A negative change arc which is shown through Sosuke Aizen, Ginjo Kugo, or Yuuchi. And lastly, the flat character arc, which aligns with Hollow Ichigo's actions and motives in the series. Other characters which follow a flat character arc include Urahara, Isshin, and Ryuken. A flat arc involves a character who begins a story believing in a specific truth, and remains relatively unchanged from the beginning to the end of the story. Hollow Ichigo, who follows this flat arc, believes in a specific truth, that he is Zangetsu. He is a part of Ichigo and his powers, considering him to be his partner, because he is his true Zanbakuto spirit. But the truth is rejected by Ichigo as he refuses to accept his inner hollow as a part of himself, primarily because his mother was killed by a hollow, so he refuses to rely upon the powers of his inner hollow and adamantly chooses to not open himself up to him. The setting that Hollow Ichigo resides within is Ichigo's inner world. He believes in the truth, but the one that he relies upon to exist does not believe in it. Hollow Ichigo challenges Ichigo because he is frustrated by his weakness, as this will negatively impact his chances of survival. If Ichigo dies, then so will he. This is why he never gives up on trying to help and protect him. The truth that Hollow Ichigo knows is that he is a part of Ichigo's Shinigami powers. The truth conflicts with the lie that Ichigo tells himself, that he is responsible for his mother's death. She was killed by a Hollow, so he hates that he has a Hollow within him. Stemming from this lie is Ichigo's want, which is to shoulder the burden of protecting everyone around him. Hollow Ichigo is at odds with his beliefs, but at the same time he is helping him by giving him the power to protect others, helping him to fulfill his want to protect his loved ones, and ultimately helping him to survive by taking over when he is vastly outmatched in battle. Ichigo evidently learns about the truth that his inner Hollow knows from the very beginning of the series. He learns about the circumstances behind his mother's death. The primary cause of her death was Yhwach stealing all of the powers from the impure Quincy, which included Ichigo's mother, because she became tainted when the Hollow White became a part of her. When Nimaya tells him that his inner Hollow is his true Zanpakuto spirit, he finally learns and embraces the truth that his inner Hollow has known all along. This allows him to accept Hollow Ichigo as a part of his powers. He understands how he was helped by his inner Hollow during his battle with Byakuya, how he tried to assist him during his many encounters with the Urankars, even teaching him about the purpose of having killer instinct, which proved to be an invaluable lesson for his upcoming battles. Lastly, how he helped Ichigo to keep his promise to Orihime by indeed protecting her when she called out for his help during his battle against Ulquiorra. Directly or indirectly, his inner Hollow was always looking out for him. Ichigo rejecting his inner Hollow and Old Man Zangetsu suppressing his powers is what held him back. Every time he had to learn something about his Zanpakuto, Old Man Zangetsu recruited the help of Hollow Ichigo to teach him. Whenever Ichigo was struggling in battle, Hollow Ichigo came to his aid and took control to help him. We were purposely led to misunderstand his inner Hollow to be a psychotic maniac, when in actual fact he had a method to his madness. This was Ichigo's true Zanpakuto spirit all along. Hollow Ichigo in the end was Zangetsu. This explains why he was so offended when he first met Ichigo and scolded him for thinking he could grow closer to his Zanpakuto just by knowing its name. He tells him to open up his heart to his blade. In the Urankar arc, Old Man Zangetsu is forced out as Ichigo's dominant spirit, but Ichigo refuses to open up to his inner Hollow, who is the true Zangetsu. He doesn't know that his inner Hollow is his key to growing stronger. Hollow Ichigo did repeatedly tell him, "I am Zangetsu," but his words fell upon deaf ears as he acknowledged the imposter within him as Zangetsu instead. If you have anything else to add regarding Hollow Ichigo's character, then please let me know by leaving a comment. I really would love to know your interpretations of his character and personality. Next week, by popular demand, I will be analysing the #1 Espada Stark, so stick around by subscribing so that you don't miss the new videos.